Considering the numerous proposals for the Lower Fraser, BC's most important salmon river, how would you strike a balance between the federal government's foreign trade agenda and local concerns of Delta residents in regards to the environment and livability?
Our government has had a very aggressive free trade agenda. We've gone from having free trade agreements with 5 countries to 44. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because we want to diversify markets for Canadians. There has been a complete dependence here in Canada, of course, on our major trading partner. Now, we're still always going to have the United States as our major trading partner, but to be able to diversify our markets is very important. So we've entered into CETA, the Canada-EU trade agreement. That will probably be coming on board in a couple of years. That is going to be, I'm told by people right here in Delta, a huge boon to exporting of agri-food, to exporting of other commodities and our industries. We've also concluded an agreement with South Korea, which is a gateway to the Asian countries, and to all those markets and those people. So yes, we have been quite aggressive on that to help Canadian business and industry, and that seafood producers. That's just so many industries that could benefit from the larger, bigger market. As far as its effects on the environment, well, of course, we're never going to enter into an agreement that is not of a net benefit to Canadians, and that is always the test and always very much in mind. There are countries that don't have our rigorous standards. When I have traveled a bit in my time as MP, I'm told by other countries in South America and in the UK that Canada is looked at as a model of environmental regulation and scrutiny. And they praise us for our high standards. We have been voted the most livable country in the world, and there's a reason for that. It's great here.
The Harper government has been very aggressive with these trade agreements. The one that comes to mind is FIPA, that Mr. Harper ratified secretly last September, that makes us subservient to China. If we pass a law that they think could harm their ability to profit from investments in Canada, they can sue us in secret Chinese language courts in China. Okay? So, and we have to pay them. So if this is aggressive government, then that's not what we want. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with FIPA, but that is how that works. And you guys distracted me. Okay. Now, the part here that I'm going to focus on again is local concerns of Delta residents. So what you need in Ottawa is somebody who can represent your local concerns from Delta to Ottawa, instead of having someone representing Ottawa's local concerns to Delta. And what their concern is pushing trade agreements like FIPA and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which it sounds like, because it's being negotiated in secret, at this point we don't even know if the CBC and the Canada Post are going to be put up to auction.
Trade is important, of course. We have to make sure that we open up markets in other parts of the world to our products. But those products cannot simply be raw material exports, which is the majority of what we've seen under this government and previous governments. We want to put an end to this rip and ship approach. Instead of exporting raw materials, let's build things here. Let's send out to the world manufactured products built by Canadian hands in Canadian cities. There is no need for us to be sending raw materials to the rest of the world, which we then buy back at increased cost, when we could be adding value right here in Canada. Deltaport is important. Deltaport is important. We need to make sure that there are jobs there, that there are exports going through there. It's an important part of our economy here in Delta and across the country. But what the containers are filled with It doesn't matter if it's raw logs or finished furniture. And I, for one, and an NDP government, would rather it be finished furniture. So that's something we would fight very strongly for. In terms of the environment, we had a meeting the other day with the managers at Delta Port, and they told us, quite frankly, that they can handle increasing capacity on the footprint that exists now with a few upgrades. There is no need in their minds for Terminal 2 expansion in order to increase capacity of exports or imports at the port. So we can protect the environment and increase trade at the same time. And lastly, we do need to be careful about these investor state provisions that put our environmental protection laws as subject to the interests of foreign governments. It's a huge issue. It's coming up more and more. We were recently sued under NAFTA provisions for it. We need to be really wary of that, and an NDP government would make sure that we were.
A Liberal Party, a Liberal government recognizes, as do all you, that the economy and the environment are not mutually exclusive. They go hand in hand. And I've talked a lot about our environmental platform, but what I will say is it's not sitting out there in isolation of everything else that we've announced. You'll notice that the environment is a foundational consideration in the vast majority, if not all, of our announcements. So when you look at our infrastructure announcement, you have green infrastructure. When you look at our jobs announcement, you have green jobs focused on youth who can then go out and work for environmental organizations and address these really difficult challenges that lay ahead. Our environmental platform includes consideration of clean tech and clean jobs and climate change and fisheries and oceans. It's incredibly robust. I'll mention our Aboriginal platform. Our Aboriginal platform looks at a nation-to-nation approach to the environment, working with, in our case, the TFN and Musqueam, but working with all First Nation to create sustainability in the environment that we all live. We have to get out of this language of the economy on one side and the environment on we have mainstreamed the environment, and the environment needs to be a part of every decision that any decision maker makes at any level of government in this country, or we are going to pay the price very, very soon. And we all have kids. I have 4 of them as well. I don't want my kids to pay that price.